And we are going to admit them all. Welcome, everyone. How are you? I know most of you are on mute, so you feel free to give a quick hello if you want to. This is our Cornerstone Monday night Q&A. We've got almost 50 of you in the room. Chat is a great way to answer. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. I'm going to give it just a minute for everybody to filter through the waiting room. We'll really kick it off about 7:01 or 6:01, 6:02 for those of you in Central. I'm in Eastern time, so sometimes converting it throws me off. Check out this chat, see who all we've got as I'm also letting everybody in. Awesome. We've got North Florida, Portland. My goodness. Welcome all. I will do my best to monitor the chat as we go through this, so feel free to drop questions in there. We do have another mentor in the room, but I think he is just hoping to participate, so I'm not going to call him out and ask for help monitoring the chat, but Justin is here with us from Firehouse Travel. Justin, is that the agency name? Awesome. Look at me. If everybody would want, I love everybody putting your locations in the chat. If anybody wants to also drop maybe how long you've been an agent or any indication of experience, that would be super helpful to me. And then it looks like our waiting room is getting quieter. Connie, 2 months, 4 months, I see. Mariah at just 5 weeks. Amazing. Colleen, almost senior status at 8 months. Oh, never mind. Cheryl took you over to 1.5 years. And Marcel, 2 years. Look at that. Excellent. All right. So this is really designed to be a Q&A format. We can do that by using the hand raise reaction here in Zoom, and I can call on you. You can drop those in the chat, and I will do my best to get to all of them. I am going to kick us off with a little bit of who I am and what my areas of expertise are, because as you can imagine, in this industry, no one knows everything, and we can't all be experts in all of it. My name's Holly Wells. I sit outside of Charleston, South Carolina. I have been here with Cornerstone for 1.5 years. I've been booking travel for about 5 years. This is part-time side hustle for me. In my real life, I am in sales management for a software tech company. So I do tend to come at this very much from the business sales side of life. And I very much do a good amount of cruises. I think most of us do. But then I also have 2 other spaces that I live in, and that is business group travel, as well through my LinkedIn community and all of my contacts with work. And then and Dawn in Charleston, I love that. Thank you for that. Sorry that I digress. The other thing I do is really curated land tours where I'm not using a consolidator. I'm not using a predetermined package, but I am building the package from start to finish for my clients with activities and transfers, hotels, the whole 9 yards. They are time consuming, but they are a lot of fun for me. I love the administration side. I love the research part of it. So that's a little bit about me and where my expertise lies. Does anybody want to kick us off with a question? Awesome. We have got Mike. James, I see your hand. Let's do you first since you've got the live hand raise, and then Mike, I'll come to you in the chat next. James, do you want to come off? Or Matt, I see the quotes there. Do you want to come off mute and talk to us?
Hey, good evening, Holly. Thank you for the time. I have coming up on 30 days post travel of a couple of trips that I'm expecting commission on from Cornerstone. This will
Yes.
be my first check. So could you walk me through the mechanics? Like I've set up the bank account and all that for the ACH, but do you get like an email or does it just show up
Absolutely.
one day? Kind of the
Absolutely. So I
background
am
of
going to
that.
walk through the mechanics probably in more detail than what you're asking for, but just in an effort to fill in any other questions or gaps that this might trigger for people. So as you all know, the earliest Cornerstone will pay out is 30 days after last date of travel, and it could take up to 90 days. After the 90-day mark, there is a form you can fill out to ask for research to identify what might have happened to that commission payment. During that 90-day window, things that should have already happened. Obviously, the trip should have been loaded in test correctly with all of the booking information and travel dates and guest name. And then during those 90 days, within that trip section of tests, there are two menu tabs at the top that you will want to monitor. The first one is going to be receipts, and that is where you are going to see payments made to Cornerstone from the supplier. And then when Cornerstone has issued and processed the payment out to you, that will also show under receipts. So that will help you understand if Cornerstone has received payment or not from the supplier, as well as if Cornerstone has included payment out to you. Once you can see the payment indicated to you, you will also be able to see that under commission on the left-hand side of tests. There's a commission menu, and you will be able to see your pending check. For those of you who have never received a commission payment, as Matt has indicated, you will want your I-9s on file so that we know who that payment's going to, and we can report all of the appropriate income to the IRS. Once the payment is ready to come through Gusto, and this has changed several times in the last few months, so there is some confusion here. When your first payment is going to come, they all come through Gusto now. In that week the payment is coming, Jacob will send you all of the necessary information to activate that Gusto account. And you will go into Gusto, you will indicate your ACH information via Gusto, and that will be your indication that the payment will be coming that Friday on your first check. After your first check, that will be you will not receive a notification for every commission after that. Your indication after that first check will be monitoring it in tests under those next check section of the menu. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any other questions that are related to commission that might have brought up for any of you that we need to talk about?
So the receipts tab, where was that in tests? I was logging in and then kind of
Yep.
got lost.
So the receipts tab is associated with the actual trip. So you will go into the trip and then into the individual bookings associated with that trip. And there will be a receipts tab for each booking within the trip.
So question, the first commission I had was non-Gusto. Will I get a Gusto email this time?
You will, yes, Mike. Yeah.
Okay.
For everybody, and I receive commission in all of the different ways over time, but just like when we swapped to Stripe, there was that first request with Gusto. When your first Gusto check is ready, that will also come in an email on Monday or Tuesday, depending on Jacob's schedule. All right. Anything else there before I move on to Mike's question via chat? Or Mike, if you want to just come back off mute and ask it live, you're welcome to. So Mike.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, please.
My question is, I couldn't remember for my hotel bookings with Expedia. Once I make the booking, I get a 14-digit itinerary number, and then there's also a confirmation number that varies. It could be alpha or numbers. Mm-hmm. So which one do I put into the test?
Yep. And as Jennifer, I want to say thank you because Jennifer beat me to answering this by answering you in chat, Mike. But for everybody who heard that, it is the 14-digit itinerary number. And then I am going to jump over to Christina real quick because I see her hand raised, and then I'll keep going through the chat. Christina, would you like to come off mute?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, and I'm brand new, so I haven't even gotten close to getting a commission check, but is this Gusto, is this something we have to sign up separately for? I sent in my ACH and everything during orientation, but is that
Mm-hmm.
a whole different thing that I need to sign up for?
You do
Gusto?
not need to do anything until you receive the email from Jacob.
Okay,
Once Jacob needs you to sign up for Gusto, he will send you an email with all of those instructions.
perfect. Thank you.
Of course. All right, now back to the chat. We have Jonathan who says he's thinking about planning a group cruise for friends and family next year on Royal. And he is asking how he goes about making a group booking, and does he need to know ahead of time how many rooms he needs before starting a group booking? So, Jonathan, the first thing I will tell you is that to start a group booking, that is something you will do through Royal's portal. It is a good idea to have an idea of how many rooms you might need so you can put those in a block. It would take us the next 40 minutes to go through every piece of the T's and C's of how to set up a group in Royal. Royal does have some outstanding training materials in the system that will walk you through it step by step. But the goal of a group is to secure the pricing as you see it today. So knowing how many groups you're going to request, they lock that pricing for is important. If you would need additional cabins, there are processes to ask for additional cabins. It will often be at the current rate when you request those, though. They're not going to retroactively apply today's rate to additional cabins in the future. Does that make sense? Do you have any follow-up questions for that one? And yes, Justin, Leslie's recording is fantastic for anybody thinking about groups with Royal. And it's one of our more recent recordings. Colleen asking about Royal's anytime dining. Can the client book on the app once on the ship, or can you book dining on the app ahead of time? And Justin beat me to it again. I love you being in the room, Justin, because you were absolutely on this chat. You can, as an agent, can choose the dining time and espresso for them. And I think what you're asking, Colleen, is if they choose any time, are you asking about making an actual specific reservation once on board? And I see.
Yeah, sorry. If there's a client they wanted to do anytime, but it's because they don't know what time of shows they're gonna be able to go to, right? So if they get a 7 o'clock show, maybe they want to do dinner at 6 that day, but if they or 5:30. But if they get a 9:30 show, then they can do dinner at 7. So they were just trying to wait to see what time their shows are and then try to go every time. But Justin answered that they can just show up when they want to.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect,
The only cruise line where you make reservations in that manner would really be Virgin. Everything else that offers anytime dining, it's a matter of just walking up to the maitre d' and they will seat you as soon as the table's available.
Thank you.
Of course. And Jonathan, so I see the follow-up, what if you reserve too many cabins? And that is going to depend a little bit on the type of group that you set up with Royal. I will be honest, I do not do a lot of groups on Royal. Royal is not my strong area of expertise. I don't know if anybody in the group can speak more specifically to that. I know there's a time frame on deposits, but I can't speak to the specifics.
So for Royal, Jonathan, if you, depending on, like Holly said, contingent on which, if you do affinity, deposit, non-deposit, you have a couple of different options. I just created a group where no deposit is required. The room option takes me all the way to January 29th. If you do a deposit option, you have 30 days to do it one of two ways. You can either front the money yourself for the $50 per room that will hold the rooms. Whatever rooms you don't sell when Royal takes an inventory back, they will credit your account. What you can do with that credit, you can do one of two things. You can either have the money refunded to your former payment, or you can have it applied. If you're going on the cruise, like I'm going on the cruise in June of next year with our CPR group cruise, um, the money that I put as a payment, I'm just going to have that put on my booking itself. If you have, say it's a big family cruise and you're going to take 16 rooms and one person wants to take care of all the rooms on the $50 deposit, that's an option. Or here again, you can do that yourself. If you don't do a deposit, there's a certain amount of time that the rooms are held out of inventory. But when it's time to make the payments, they'll either come and take them, or you'll have to have the rooms deposited. That makes sense, I hope.
Perfect, Justin. Thank you. I was hoping. I can't speak. I understood the concept, but couldn't speak to the specific timeframes for Royal. Connie is asking if she books excursions through Viator, or we could say any other cruise excursion tour provider, probably, will it be assigned or recognized with their cruise on board, or is it treated as if they booked one at the port? Not every excursion is offered on the vessel. Connie, you're correct. There are often times where guests want a tour that doesn't align with a cruise offering, or the cruise is already sold out of a specific offering. It is very important to understand that anything we book separate from the cruise line is exactly that. There is zero communication between any of the tour providers within Viator and the cruise line. Viator does have a collection of tours that are designed to be shore excursions where the tour provider is guaranteeing to get you back before that ship departs. It is very, very important that you communicate very clearly with your guests if you help them book a tour through an alternative provider, that it is their responsibility to make it back to that ship. And I do book myself with Viator. I very rarely book a client with an alternative tour provider. I have not read the fine print of Viator's shore excursion section, but I would still hesitate because we've all heard the stories where weather shifts or a medical emergency or something happens and a ship leaves earlier than planned from port. I don't know how Viator would have that information to
I'm not sure what happened. It's possible. Okay, I'll continue on, I guess. Uh, you just have to, what she was talking about on the Viator stuff, you just need to pay attention to what's a word-free excursion and what's not, and things like that. Let's see here. Yep, I don't know where she went. What happened?
That was very weird.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
My video will not turn back on, though. That was very, very strange. Justin, I'm really glad you were in the room to keep us alive. The whole meeting, just Zoom told me it was disconnected. I'm not sure what to think. But Connie, does that answer your question about Viator and how to think about those group tours?
Yes, it does. I appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I have made it through all of the questions that were loaded in chat. And Colleen says that she believes there's a guarantee back to the ship. Yes, Shore Excursion does make that statement. My concern was whether or not, what happens if the ship ends up having to depart earlier than planned for some reason. I'm not sure how Viator, Shore Excursions, or Get Your Guide would handle something like that. It doesn't happen very often, but it is always a possibility that a ship would have to leave early. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Mark Had a client book with MSC for January of 28. They purchased insurance through Chubb and canceled the cruise last week. Since insurance is not refundable, do I have to wait all the way until 28, or can what be expedited? I'm curious. Commission be expedited. So your insurance policy, was that purchased as an annual policy, or was it associated directly with that trip? Not annual, so associated with that trip. This is a unique enough situation that I would strongly encourage you to send an email to corporate to inquire. I am not sure how that will be handled, because yes, trip date bound insurance is normally paid out at the end of the trip, but there may, and I'm not sure what Chubb's payment schedule to us under those circumstances would be. So I would say that's specific and unique enough to email corporate. All right. Anybody else want to either rate? Awesome, Matt. Thank you. You want to come off mute and ask?
Full of questions tonight.
Well, that's why we're here.
Well, thank you so much. I was able to attend the meet and greet BDM presentation Saturday night and some others. And these are vendors I've never heard of. They're not listed on the supplier portal. And it's always very interesting to me to see what all's out there. And I know, or I don't think there's a list out there. Is this just kind of these one-offs and they get on the calendar, or is there a list where I can go and find out more, or more vendors, or where do I go?
Yep. Fantastic question, Matt. So the first thing I will tell you, and this is a very common thought. When you go into Cornerstone's Agent Access, we see about 40 or 50 suppliers that are all premium preferred suppliers listed on that page. It's really important to note that Cornerstone actually works with over 300 suppliers. And as part of the Travel Leaders Network, there are a lot more suppliers than that we have access to if we wanted. In terms of a comprehensive list, there really isn't one, because suppliers can come and go, contracts and terms can change. So it would be incredibly time consuming to maintain. If you want an idea, I would encourage you to go to Travel Leaders Network's website and log in. You will see a much larger list of suppliers there. We do not work with all of them, but if there was one listed there, it is very, very plausible that Cornerstone would then go engage with them if an agent needed or wanted them. There are a few suppliers that we have had really bad experiences with that we might not work with again. So keep that in mind. But honestly, anything you stumble across in the universe that indicates they might work with a travel agent, you could absolutely fill out a supplier request form, select other. And if we don't already have that relationship, it would be, we would then engage in considering adding them as a supplier. Is that helpful? Perfect. Thumbs up. And I know that's not super clear. It would be great if there was a concrete list. But what I would encourage you to do is start with whatever your defined niche is and really dig in and see what you stumble into. And then I see Jonathan asking, when will the new Agent Access go live? I'm assuming you're asking about the one that Vicki teased out this week in Facebook. Is that correct, Jonathan? Okay, perfect. I don't know the actual date. I saw that teaser same time you all did, but I know that Vicki's pretty good. Once a teaser goes out, things are usually up within 2 weeks. I would expect we're probably, my best guess, and it's a true guess, would be on the very beginning of August. We're probably going to align it with the start of the month. All right. So I don't see any additional chat questions to that one. Crystal, It was asking about MSC for her son that was booked and asking about online check-in and whether she does it or they do it. Jennifer, I'm actually going to let you know, you don't even have to wait for final payment anymore. Now, as soon as you are booked in MSC, you can go in the app and do your check-ins. But correct, the guest does need to do it themselves. And then in terms of luggage tags and boarding passes, those are email. Those you will be able to access as an agent and email them on. They will also receive an email directly from MSC. Linda said she booked a cruise and entered it in tests. At final payment, she did a net booking. And does she need to change total package price in tests? She did zero out the commission already, but it shows a balance due because of the net pay. So, Linda, my first question to you is going to be, what cruise line is that booked on? And it, before I make assumptions, is that your own personal booking? So Carnival and yes. So in that case, what you probably really want to do is actually adjust the total package price to reflect what you are paying. You might want to use the comment section to indicate that you are paying it net, and you could include the amounts correctly in the comment section. Justin, I am not aware of an official corporate policy on how that is actually intended to be handled on a net booking, because there's so few cruise lines that we can do a net booking for. Do you have any additional insight beyond that you want to share?
Did she book a hotel or a cruise at net?
Carnival, through Carnival for herself.
I booked a cruise and entered test. I did a net booking. Yeah, it still has to be entered because we booked it through
right. The question being is, should she adjust the actual total package price to reflect the net price so that the payments will zero out?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for confirming. Love having you in the room for backup.
I also assume that doing that would be the same as an interline. If you booked an interline rate, you would zero out the commission and just put the interline rate amount?
Correct.
Is that true? Okay, great. Thank you.
The difference with interline is that it's actually going to show the interline rate as the package price on the invoice, as opposed to booking net, where it would not. And then Kristen is asking about the wave trips for 27 and how we sign up for those. So yes, wave trips do tend to fill up relatively quickly, and sign up for those will vary. And when she makes the post, all of the necessary details will be there. So Colleen's question is what is a wave trip? Jennifer saying similar to the trip to New Orleans, and it is similar, but they're closer to a FAM trip, where we have a supplier that's really immersing us to experience a product, as opposed to New Orleans that was a little more of a retreat and very cornerstone focused. Okay, I am at the end of the chat again. Does anybody want to add anything to the chat or raise a hand to ask some additional questions? You've got me for another half hour. I'm happy to keep going if anybody wants. We can talk about marketing. We can talk about suppliers. We can talk about, can I talk about VAX versus Vacation Express? In what sense, Linda? Can you tell me a little more about what you're looking for? Okay, so I have not used either yet. So they are both consolidator sites, and similar to anything. To some degree, it's going to be personal preference, as well as what they have available through their portals. I personally I try to keep the suppliers that I lean on manageable until somebody does not have something available. And then I have to kind of branch out and try and go find something that fits somewhere else. So my personal go-to is Vax, just because they do serve very similar functions. And so I don't have a lot of experience with Vacation Express versus Vax. I will tell you one of the things about Vax that frustrates me, and this may or may not be true of Vacation Express, is that if you do not log into Vax every 90 days, it will kick you out and you will have to go reset your password, which is frustrating. So I have a calendar reminder every 75 days to log into Vax so that they don't lock me out. Because I don't book those types of trips very often. I'm not in there. And I finally got tired of getting locked out all the time, because when I need it, I want to be able to get in and not lose time trying to get access again. I know that was not super clear, but they really do serve very similar functions, and it's going to be personal preference in a lot of ways. Does anybody in the group, and it doesn't have to necessarily be Justin, have any experiences that they want to share? Because this definitely does not have to be the Holly Justin show if anybody wants to share experiences. Some of you have been here almost as long as Justin and I. Okay, Christina, I see your hand up. I'm going to bounce over to you real quick. Did you have a question?
I do. Bear with me. I'm brand new, like 1 week in. I have been looking through the suppliers. I think I want to start out basing my focus on like land-based and combinations. I'm assuming that's what the consolidator suppliers are for, like flight, hotel, land excursions. Is that correct?
It is, yes. And like you would be the ideal to dig into Vax and Vacation Express, play with them both, and come back to us in a month or two with some differences to share.
I love that. So those are both considered consolidators and would handle things like all inclusive or just resorts and flights and rental, yada yada.
Correct. Yes.
Vacation Express and Vax. Okay. Yeah, I'll look into those. Thank you.
Of course. Connie is asking if Greyhound is available anywhere within a supplier. I am going to have to default to the group on this one. I am not certain if Greyhound works with travel agents or not. And I'm not sure if it would have to be through, if there's a consolidator that has access to them if we do not directly. Does anybody in the group know if we work with Greyhound?
I haven't seen it or heard of it.
Yeah, okay. I love it when you validate my experiences, Justin. It makes me feel so good. Thank you. Connie, the best thing I would have to say is this is where that supplier request form comes in. Go in, select other, put Greyhound in there, and see what comes back from corporate. And by all means, if you discover we have a way to work with Greyhound, post it in the Facebook group so that all of us can be up to speed. That would be a fantastic piece of information.
Yeah, sounds good. I just added, is it Railroad to a supplier? Is that the name of it? Okay.
Yep.
As an Alaskan here, all my local people are wanting, and we book a lot of those throughout the year. And somebody came up to me yesterday asking me about Greyhound, if so, okay, I'll have to do some follow-up research on that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Jennifer, thank you so much for jumping. There was a question about insurance providers, and Jennifer answered in the chat. Chubb Alliance and Travel Insured are our primary options right now for travel insurance. And similar to the question around Vax and Vacation Express, they're very, very similar. They have minute differences. I would encourage each of you to sort of do your homework and sort of decide which one you're going to lean on the most heavy and position as a primary. Because it's important to keep in mind we are designed to be the experts and to make recommendations, not overwhelm clients with a menu of choices. So I would encourage you to decide who you think is going to be best for the majority of your clients and always make them your first offer. Robert, if we are interested in doing a ship tour at the upcoming convention, where do we start watching for the list? Will it be on the Cornerstone website? Justin has answered. Ship inspections will be announced via Facebook and email out to all convention attendees. Justin provides very wise experience. Sign up as soon as you see those opportunities because they do fill every single year. And for those of you coming to convention, Justin and I are both looking forward to meeting you in person. We will both be there and readily available. Matt, coming in with another hot take. I am loving this. Matt, you need to come to every Q&A to keep us going. What is my take on Snap? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Snap serves a purpose. It has a very distinct purpose. I have booked through Snap in the past. I personally struggle with Snap at times. If I am booking a premium economy or business class, first class, international ticket, the advantage to Snap is that there's often commission associated with those premium fares on international flights. I also have struggled that there will be itineraries I can see on the actual airline's website that I cannot make come up in Snap for anything, despite the fact all itineraries and flight paths are supposed to be in Snap. That is probably a me issue, not a Snap issue. But if I'm not getting commission, I just help the client book directly through the flight airline's website. Personally, it has not been worth my time to figure out why I struggle with Snap. But it definitely does have its purposes and advantages at times, Matt.
I was messing around with it one night, and I was trying to book tickets from LATAM on LATAM because they had the flight I want from Miami to Buenos Aires, and I felt like I was using a computer from 1980, but somehow think I got it right. But I was like, this feels like I'm hacking something with all these codes and like definitely not Expedia tab interface.
No, definitely not. I agree. So it's there. I use it when it makes sense, but it's not my go-to by any stretches. Colleen asking about name conventions for wave makers. Can you elaborate? Should those names show where?
I'm sorry, on the top, we're always asked all year long to make sure the name showing as our first and last. When you see our name at the top, like I have my first and last.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if we still have to do that because a lot of people didn't have that. One was just an iPhone.
It is best practice. I don't know, sometimes, and this will be true, and I know that for corporate, it can be a bit of a frustration. We are all independent contractors. So there are lines around how Cornerstone can manage us as independent agents. So there are best practices. There are things they ask of us to make their lives easier so they can serve us better. At the same time, enforcement can be a little bit of a gray area. But yes, that is best practice would be first name, last name when possible.
I think she's mainly asking just for individuals that are taking part of wave makers to get their credit. I think that's the
correct.
Yeah.
It's for wave makers, just making sure.
Yeah, because that is, otherwise we could have 10 Colleens. So yes, it is, but really it's best practice for everybody. And Mike responding just on, Crystal asking, I see that. Italy, my daughter just spent 6 weeks study abroad in Italy and had an amazing time. You're seeing Snap has best prices for flights. What site do you recommend for flights? This again comes back to Snap will give you a huge selection, and Snap sometimes does give that added visibility. As Matt was highlighting, Snap is not always the easiest thing to book on. If you see a flight in Snap, you should also be able to see it directly on the airline's website. And it will be up to you if it's advantageous to book through Snap and if you're comfortable enough with Snap. Or if you prefer to book through the agent website or airline website, sorry. You also could use Expedia. If you're combining it with other things, you might want to look at a consolidator. But it really does have, again, come to personal preference and what your go-tos tend to be.
Thank you.
And then we have Connie. What is the average number? I'm assuming by count you mean attendees on FAM inspection allowance. What are the average hours on inspections? There is no standards. There is no averages. For instance, there is a Margaritaville at Sea, Seminar at Sea, which technically is a FAM, coming up in August. Initially, Cornerstone was allotted 7 spots. That increased to 9, but there were only 9. Similarly, the exact same week, there was an MSC Seminar at Sea posted availability, and they were allotted 50 cabins. And that was out to not just us. That was 50 cabins across several of the larger host agencies. I will tell you that Cornerstone showed up and showed out. My last count, we have 32 of those 50 cabins booked for ourselves. So good job filling those, taking advantage of that opportunity. As of today, I did hear one agent was still able to book, and there might still be a few trailing cabins available for that one. For ship inspections, I have seen it around 50. I've seen it as much as 200. It really depends on the cruise line and what the arrangements there are. In terms of average hours on inspection, as a general rule, I usually see it between 2 and 4. The ones that tend to run 4 hours usually are including a meal in the dining room. It is important when we think about all of these opportunities that we have for ship inspections and FAMs that these are professional opportunities, and it's important to dress accordingly. Business casual, even if you are on, for instance, one of the upcoming seminars at sea, there will be days where you are on your personal time and you're in bathing suits and you're in cover-ups and you're doing the thing. But when there's a scheduled event that we are presenting and representing Cornerstone at, it is very important that we leave the cutoff shorts in the cabin. We put on a nice pair of dress shorts or slacks or a skirt and represent yourself and Cornerstone appropriately. If you take one of these spots, it's very important that you commit to the attendance and that you are there for the duration, whatever that looks like. Because if you have signed up for one of those spots, that is somebody else who has missed that opportunity. And it is not a good look for Cornerstone for us to do that and then not show up correctly. It can hinder our invites in the future. I see Dawn commenting that Snap didn't have all flights and she missed out on an international ticket. And that, as I said, is sort of sometimes there are itineraries I cannot find. I have been told they're all supposed to be there somehow, and it's a matter of what options and features are toggled on and off. But I just default to going and finding what I need through something I'm a little more comfortable from. And then we have iPhone 47 asking where the announcements are made. Yes, to the Facebook group. That is the first line of communication for everything from corporate is going to be through the Facebook group. I know it can be active. I know things move very quickly. And if you're not checking it all the time, it's very easy to miss stuff. For now, Vicki has said very clearly that is going to be how announcements get made. Exceptions being things associated with convention. Those will go in the Facebook group, but there will also be direct email communication to the individuals who have signed up for that event, particularly around the ship inspections.
Thank you. I don't mean to be in this iPhone 47. I'm just still 2 weeks in and I'm still trying to figure this all out and how to get my name and everything in here. So
no worries.
My name's Michelle. So I appreciate the answer. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you coming off mute so that we could hear your lovely voice. It's nice to have a name for iPhone 47. Now, if
Sorry
you come
about
to
that. Next time
convention,
I'll be in here with my name.
if you come to convention, I would like your name tag to say iPhone 47, please. And then I'll
Okay,
know
I
you.
will do that. And then I'll put my real name underneath.
Perfect.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you.
We have 15 minutes left together. Does anybody want to come off mute with more questions or put anything in the chat?
Hi, it's Stephanie. I'll just speak a couple of things on Snap because I've been on the phone with them today, and I do have quite a few airline tickets booked with Snap for my personal self, for my family, and for a couple of clients. I use Snap and I use Expedia if I do airline for clients or for like my family. My personal, I try to use my Delta Sky Miles, but I do have several things booked through Snap and Expedia Tap. I check both of those to see which one has a better price. Sometimes Snap has a better price. Sometimes Expedia has a better price. I will say that Snap, we've been getting a lot of changes for like flights have been changing, flight numbers have been changing, and they notify you every time something like that changes. I am learning a lesson today. I know I specifically booked specific seats on one of our international flights going to Canada and on the return. And it had that, but I guess I didn't check. I did this several months ago, and I guess I didn't verify on the email that my seat choices were in the email. So now we don't have the premium economy seats we booked. So that's something I'm learning today, that I need to make sure that I'm checking everything on there and don't be in a hurry and just assume that because you picked it, it's actually booked it. So that was one thing I would say. Make sure when you get the email that it's actually there that you picked it. But other than that, it's a little tricky in the beginning, but if you play with it a little bit, it seems to work. You can kind of figure it out. And you can't just call them and talk to them. You have to like send an email to them, but they've called me back within 30 minutes every time I've ever emailed them. So their customer service has been pretty good.
That's amazing. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate you sharing your experience. That's super helpful. Kristen has asked about convention. She's a new agent. This is her first convention. Is there anything I need to know? So the first thing I will say, Kristen, is that this is also going to be my first convention this year. I do have the inside track, and Justin's here. I know Justin has been in the past, so I will probably give him some space. In terms of anything you need to know, show up ready to learn, show up ready to absorb information, come ready to engage. You will only get as much out of an event like this as you put into it. Talk to the vendors, ask questions of the vendors. As mentors, we will all hold a Q&A session and be ready to answer one-on-one questions with all of you. Plan to come for a good time. It's a beautiful resort. Pack a bathing suit. And really plan to combine some personal and professional with that. Justin, do you want to add anything to convention beyond that?
Highly encourage you to come. That's first and foremost. Last year was great, and I know there's several agents in here that was there last year. Several people will come in on Thursday, just kind of a chill evening, hang out, plan to go eat dinner. Friday morning, as Holly said, there'll be some Q&A time. Around 11:30, I believe, starts the trade show where you'll go in and get to meet the BDMs and speak with them and pick up some little goodies. Bring business cards because they'll give away, when you stop at their booth, they'll be giving away, little small gifts. And then in the afternoon, I think from like 2 to 6, there'll be a like a trade show presentation where each of the BDMs will come up and speak about the brands and talk about promotions, what they've got coming up, things like that, how they can help us. And then Friday evening is your own personal time. Saturday morning will be ship inspections till about 2. And then sometime that afternoon, I'm not sure what happens between the ship inspections and dinner, but then we have our dinner and awards where people that are taking part in that CTA program and also wave makers presentations will be awarded. I'm not sure what all Amy and Vicky have planned as far as the dinner and things like that. But Holly said, like San Luis, a beautiful place to stay. Everything's being held at the convention center this year. Because last year only had 150 agents. This year we are selling 500 tickets, and I think last time I looked, there was 124 left. So if there's any left, I highly encourage you to purchase. It's a great time, great time to meet people face to face instead of sitting behind a computer and seeing just a black screen with a white name. So it's always good to meet people. And then Sunday, if the opportunity is available, contingent on the amount of people, if we have the opportunity to do 2 ship inspections. Last year we got to do 2 just based off our numbers. So hopefully we'll be able to have a second inspection this year. And Michelle, I believe it was Michelle. I apologize, iPhone. Um, the convention is always around the second weekend in November. So this year it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th, or 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Thank you. It is
Yeah.
Michelle. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, if there's any tickets left and you're even considering coming, I highly encourage you. It was a fantastic time last year, and I'm sure that anybody that was there last year that's in here will, um, back me up on that. So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate that. And then Christina's asking, was that with TAP? I'm assuming that was in relation to the question earlier. And that was actually, she was referencing her SNAP experiences and where SNAP had been advantageous, and talked about that she always looks at both. But the customer service experience in the email was all in reference to TAP. And then we have, yep, thank you, Justin, answered the cooks about ship inspections and when those will be announced. All right, we have again made it to the bottom of the chat, and we don't have any hands raised. We've got 8 minutes left. Are there any more questions or topics anybody wants to explore tonight? Matt, you got any more hot takes for me? You've become my go-to tonight.
I have signed up and received my CLIA membership on my own dime. Kind of stumbling my way through this and thought that, hey, let's do that. Now I've completed some vendor trainings, and I guess I know I need to go and put some time into the CLIA to tell CLIA I've done training. Is there any other requirements that you can just think of off the top of your head, short of me going 2 hours down a rabbit hole to find that answer and dealing with CLIA directly? And do you deal with CLIA directly?
I do. I have a CLIA membership. And I don't know if you signed up under the standard subscription to Cornerstone or the premium. So the $30 versus the $40. Important to know, if you did not, that the premium membership does cover the cost of an individual CLIA membership for those of you here in the room. So if you did not, some of you may want to consider upgrading to the premium membership so that you can get that CLIA reimbursed. In terms of uploading those trainings, that goes into your profile within CLIA. There's an email communication to send those to in there. I would strongly encourage you to do that. As we head into the back end of the year, there is going to be a CLIA required certification to maintain your active status going into 2027. So watch for that. I think it usually comes out at the start of Q4. And then the other thing I will say is, if you have not, the other important thing to do with CLIA would be to go in and find the bonus commission certificates so that you have those and can submit those to align with any bookings that you make, because you will get additional commission for turning those in. Voila. Colleen, did I address where to put those trainings in for CLIA? You just have to log into CLIA and log into your account, and the information is right there for you.
Yes, thank you.
So I just looked at convention. there's 127 tickets remaining. So here again, if you're contemplating going, I highly encourage you to go ahead and purchase your tickets.
And then I saw the question about bonus commission, although chat's not letting it come up right now, so I can't give credit where it was. But those, if you go into CLIA, it is right there. You can literally search the site, but I found it for an agent in one of our one-on-ones this week. They're not buried. They're not hard to find. It's under benefits or resources, and it'll be right there for you. Susan, hand raised. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question about the bonus commissions. I kind of looked on the Facebook group and searched and tried to see, but it wasn't clear. Is it one per cruise line per year? Or how does that work exactly?
So I have not read mine recently, but typically there are 2 certificates available for most of the cruise lines that participate. And I think there's 5 participating cruise lines. And you can only turn in one of those 2. So you will have to sort of select the one that you qualify for that makes the most sense for you. But then you can turn in 1 certificate for each one of the cruise lines that participates.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Of course. And then we have Lonnie asking about what would we suggest as a first supplier training? And Jennifer says depends on your niche. And that is very, very true. It very much depends on your niche. What I will say, and this is sort of a hot topic based on the quick bio I gave you at the beginning, an area that people do not invest in themselves in this industry and the way that I think they should is not a supplier specific training. But if you do not come from a sales background, I would strongly encourage everybody to do some very basic sales training and understand what it means to be a sales professional, because that is what all of you are. You are all now salespeople in this industry. And so understanding how to sell is as critical as understanding what you are selling. I see in the Facebook page all the time people frustrated by things like giving out quotes and then people not booking. Well, that's sales. In sales, we expect 30% of potential clients to make a purchase. So that means you are getting 1 out of 3 quotes to purchase. And that would be a great, what we refer to as win rate. But understanding sales and investing and learning what is normal in sales and how to sell will be as advantageous as training or supplier training. And to Jennifer's point, suppliers is going to be niche specific. And then Christina asked if she was understanding correctly that CLIA was required. Justin has said no, it is absolutely not. CLIA is never required. It is optional if you want the benefits. And then Lonnie asking if anyone has taken advantage of Wanderlust Travel, and Jennifer answering they're actually their own agency. So no, because they would be considered a competitor. And Colleen calling out TLN does have some amazing, very basic training and resources. If you haven't played on TLN's website and looked at everything they offer, and it's important to understand that's part of what being a part of Cornerstone is. Not all host agencies have access to TLN. It is part of what you are gaining with your subscription here compared to other host agencies. So make sure you take advantage of it. Kristen, are there any consolidator suppliers that you can book excursions with? And do we make commission on that? There are some group tour companies that would include tours. If you are meaning shore cruise type excursions specific to cruises, your best bets are going to be Viator or Shore Excursions. They are not a consolidator necessarily, but we do work with both of them as suppliers, and you will earn commission from either of them. Get Your Guide is the third one. Get Your Guide is one of the rare suppliers that we sign up with directly on our own and not as a part of Cornerstone. I will tell you that Get Your Guide does not pay commission until you have $75. So unless you are going to book a lot through them, it may not be worth your time, and you may be better to stick with Viator and Shore Excursions.
I think we cut ties with Get Your Guide.
We did, but we were given
Oh.
permission individually. It is one of the rare
okay.
ones where you are not doing it through Cornerstone, which is part of what makes it so hard to hit the commission levels. And then Jennifer calling out Project Expeditions. Yes. The Cooks again asking the difference between CLIA membership and certification. So in order to be CLIA certified, you must have a CLIA membership. You do not have to seek certification through CLIA in order to be a member. I don't know if that really helps answer the question, but if you want me to elaborate, let me know where. Mark, I would like to take advantage of my CLIA membership and all of its requirements and benefits. Who and how can I set up a one-on-one? So I commend you for wanting to take advantage of your membership with CLIA. What I would say is make sure that you spend some time on their website, becoming familiar with what all of those are. If you want to set up a Cornerstone one-on-one, those can be requested at any time. And within Agent Access, you can schedule those with any one of our mentors. If you want a CLIA specific one-on-one, we will do our best to answer those questions, but I don't know that any of us are deep CLIA experts the way somebody at CLIA would be. So you could absolutely start with a Cornerstone style one-on-one. And then if you had really detailed questions, you might have to email CLIA to ask for clarification if we can't help you find it on the website. All right, we are at 8 o'clock and we have a couple more questions left. I am willing to hang around to answer what's in the chat. I'm just going to ask that we stop because it looks like we've just got a couple related to commission that I can hit pretty quickly. Crystal, you're expecting your first commission check soon. That's amazing. Congratulations. Your client sale June 12th. When should I expect email from Gusto? And Jennifer did address some of this. It is important. It could take up to 90 days. So at the beginning of this, I did cover where to check tabs on that to see if Cornerstone has already been paid on it. If you want I think we share these recordings now. I'm not proof positive. But in tests, you could go make sure under receipts associated with that booking that Cornerstone has been paid. And then Jacob will send you an email the week that he is processing your payment.
Yeah, I've been checking in tests, so.
And have you seen the receipt section of that booking have a payment post yet?
I have not.
Okay.
So I've missed a lot because I went back to work in April and I've been missing so much. So I'm trying to get caught back up in some knowledge of it and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have anything really specific that you need to screen share on and have us dig in with you, sign up for a one-on-one. We'll be happy to take a look with you. And then Jonathan, last question, had asked about Cornerstone Pro or Test Pro covering CLIA membership. Christine, thank you for helping answer that it is Cornerstone Pro. So with that, I hope tonight has been helpful and worth your time. As always, we are here. The Facebook group is the most immediate response, but we have Q&As all week long. Thank you all for joining me this evening, and I wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.